I would like to congratulate MPC Global for organizing online conference with a concept called Present from Anywhere, Anytime. I'm going to talk about globalization and technology in the context of Jain community in Mumbai. Globalization has been an important phenomenon, and the interaction between globalization and urbanization creates an interesting dimension. Mumbai experienced and responded to this interaction in variety of ways. While the city has its responses to globalization and technology, and this journey goes on, each of the community of Mumbai faced and worked out its own way towards this overpowering challenges. The paper particularly focuses on the Jain responses towards this speedily growing and expanding globalizing city. It also tries to probe into the Jain responses vis-a-vis other communities of the city as well as the responses all over the world. Jainism is the ascetic religion of India. Jains are the followers of the Jainas. Jainism has been an influence for the Indian culture for over 2,500 years and has contributed to Indian philosophy, logic, art, architecture, mathematics, astronomy, astrology, and literature. When we talk about the study of religion, it operates on two levels. The study of the people who claim to follow a particular religion together with the institutions and organizations they create and support to develop, and the study of the doctrine, set of ideas and beliefs to which these people adhere. The paper takes up the former approach, nevertheless, the later approach forms the background of many of the observations and facts of the study. The present study also takes up historical approach. There has been a considerable amount of research and theorizing into globalization and its consequences over the past decade. The data of the paper has been derived from literature, oral, digital, and audiovisual sources. This research indexes the contemporary Jain community in the global IT era and presents a local study. Talking about the times in which the person has lived or living opens out certain challenges. Again, it is too early to make certain conclusions about the globalization, which is still an ongoing process. Globalization era reached the Indian economy in the late 1980s and early 1990s with the acceleration in private and foreign investment and deregulation of market forces. Globalization, due to the advent of communication and transportation technology and the roles played by the media, has contributed to the deterritorialization and the blurring of geographical spaces and boundaries. This has resulted apparently in making the world a small village where people, cultures, and identities come in a daily face to face contact with each other. Cultural globalization refers to the rapid movement of ideas, attitudes, meanings, values, and cultural products across national borders. It refers specifically to the idea that there is now a global and common monoculture, transmitted and reinforced by the internet. The process of cultural globalization has been dramatically intensified due to technological advances in both transportation and communication technology. Globalization has transformed the social landscape over the last 2 decades. One can go to any major city in the world and there is a similar consumption experience. More and more people in Asia and South America have started enjoying high consumption lifestyles, like in the West, car ownership and tourism are both on the increase globally. For example, central to this is the growth of similar lifestyles of shopping malls and leisure parks, which provide a homogeneous cultural experience in different regions across the world. Talking about globalization and religion, they engage in a persistently flexible relationship in which the former relies on the latter for its thriving and flourishing, while at the same time challenges its hybridizing effects. The 20th century is witnessing the net growth of the religion. Now, technology and globalization. Technology has been the principal driver of globalization. Globalization and technology share intimate relation. Globalization is the interaction of extraordinary technological innovation combined with global influence. It is usually used as a handy form to describe the spread of communication production and connection technologies throughout the world. Globalization and technology has allowed and provided a number of benefits for individuals. Internet has become influential in connecting people across the world. Of course, the interrelationship of technology and globalization has posed a number of challenges. The communication and the extent rate, the complexity and the size of the networks involved, the volume of trade, the interaction, and the risk give a strange force to the label globalization. One can see the modern innovation slowly erasing the uniquely traditional culture. Technology has created a divide in the society. The generation of people born during 1980s, 1990s, and after, referred as Y generation, is a digital native, having constant access to technology, cell phones, laptops. The other section is generation migrant to technology. This migration is characterized by a variety of ways, voluntary, imposed, and many times accepted as there is no other option or possibility left. Now, talking about Jain community in Mumbai, the present study takes up the Jain community in Mumbai as a case study. The Jains belong to one of the very ancient religious communities in India. The Jain community is largely urban community. They are commercial community. They show marked tendency to live in the cities. Jain community was accorded minority status by the National Commission for Minorities in 1997. Jains, Kutchi, Gujarati, and Marwari are important Jain groups in Mumbai. Jains have been minority in the city. They migrated to Bombay from a variety of religions. The Jains tended to concentrate in certain suburbs such as Ghatkopar, Parle, Andheri, Malad, etc., and played leading role in the development of these areas. They have been largely assimilated. Even though the process of cultural globalization has left distinct imprint on the cultural lifestyle of the Jains of Bombay, several aspects of custom and tradition continue to exist side by side as there is both adoption and rejection. Globalization and global urbanization does bring substantial challenges that are rising today more than ever before. For better or worse, cities have different histories, cultural mixes, national experiences, and modes of regulations of urban speed. The city of Bombay has always been identified as a city of many tongues and cultural expressions. Now, when we talk about globalization and religious communities in Mumbai, globalization represents an important force for urban growth and challenge. It shapes up the existing ways of life. Also, globalization is considered as economic process, but it interacts with society both locally, regionally, and internationally in military, political, religion, and cultural arenas. It facilitates the creation of monoculture while religions stand for diversities. In the face of globalization, the practice of religion becomes matter of personal choice. Now, talking about Jain associations in Bombay have become techno-friendly and taken up their projection on the internet. The attitudes towards higher education have somewhat changed due to the demands of the information-based economies of the future. The combined impact of the increasing educational sophistication and of the growing materialism amongst the Jains on traditional Jain culture is widely felt and often lamented. Globalization has created standard and uniform technology. The process of adapting and updating of the technology is an instrumental factor in this phenomenon. Jain youngster of global era presents interesting combination. A Hamseva group established by Namramuni of Gondal Sect in 2006 is a Jain Youth Association which provides the example of this time. The establishment of separate youth group itself signifies the impact and the gap created by globalization. It started with 50 members at Mulund. Within a year, the membership grew to 1,000. The tagline of the group has been Seva, Sadhana, and Samarpan. Post-globalization era witnessed revival of interest in the religious study. Jain studies also witnessed similar trend. Now, talking about Jain responses and initiatives, globalization has unleashed dual forces. Globalization and localization. Increasing globalization is considered as a threat to the Jain way of life. There's a simultaneous pull of global forces and a strong urge to preserve and go back to roots. One can see similar Indian historical context when during the Indian Renaissance in the 19th century, the reformers faced the dual process of the Western and Indian forces. Globalization can be linked to the local, the national, and the regional. New technologies have transformed the media landscape in the post-globalization India. Media industries have become all pervasive. Cultural ideology of consumerism is affecting all forms of popular expression. Many of the literary works of the Jain tradition are made available on internet. The fact needs to be noted in the context that many are not in favor of the sharing of the sacred text. As a field of global studies unfolds, religions at large are working out a range of strategies in the face of globalization. One can see diversity in the case of Jain response. The study shows that globalization related technologies modify religion, which in turn challenges globalization in the sense that it does not always cope with such globalization values. The interaction of globalization and technology has far-reaching consequences for the Jains, in particularly in the constructions of their identities, the negotiation between global and local continues. Thank you very much.